Hi everybody, welcome back to another Impact and Influence. Got a bit of a twist today. I've got Sue Choong with me from our team. How are you, Sue?
I'm good. Kylie, how are you?
I'm great. Something that's been really topical, particularly off the back of the Macquarie benchmarking and insight report that just been released, is everyone's talking about the changing of the guard, rent roll sales that are occurring out there in market. I'm just looking at the report now that they're saying that 47% of agency practitioners are over the age of 50. So lots of opportunity out there in the market.
Exactly. Plenty of opportunity. So, it's good to see, that people can pick up some good rent rolls out there.
I think, so we want to bring everybody a 3-part series talking about buying, selling, and the importance of project management, whether or not it's regrowth or not, but that project management between if you do sell or buy, between exchange, settlement, and during the retention period and things that can go wrong. So we're going to start the series today by talking about selling. If you're thinking about selling your rent roll, the next series will be all around buying. And then the third conversation piece we're going to have is around, I guess, the project management or where we see things go wrong. So in our team at REGROWTH, we're all available to help you lighten the load with whatever you need in your business or to help you scale. One of the things that we have, I think, naturally inherently fallen into because of all of our backgrounds and skill with owning and operating our own business is a little bit more in this sales department, from health check to DD to broking. And I know, Sue, you're doing a lot of facilitation of sales that are out there at the moment. So if we start at the beginning and we talk about selling, you had a recent experience in this space. So this has been, for you in the last 12 months. So yep. Definitely a source of truth, and to talk about your experiences. We have done over 100,000, it's a big number, but we're proud of it, 100,000 properties that we've done health checks on in the last 12 months. And now we seem to be spending a lot of our time in the DD space. If I am thinking of selling, Sue, for one reason or another, where do I start? Like, what do I consider?
I know, good question, isn't it? Look, I think for what I've seen out there, and I think for me, from my own experience as well, get a good team behind you. Okay, so when you are going to start, don't look at starting in and selling next month. So preparation is the key, and I think the more knowledge you have, the more prep work you've done, it will give you loads of information for you to know what to do when you're making those really key decisions later on down the track. So getting a good team behind you, getting a solicitor, look around, speak to different people. A solicitor knows and has experience in especially in this space, like rent rolls. The contract's very different, to someone selling a business. So there's lots of specific clauses in the contract, very specific to rent rolls and real estate that need to be looked at. Talk to your accountant as well. Have a chat to them, let them know what you're thinking of doing. There might be some planning you need to do. There might be some tax implications you're not aware of, or you may be aware of, but getting all those things under control before you go out to market or start, even exchanging a contract, because once you've done that, it's obviously too late to go backwards. Talk to your bank relationships if you've got a loan, or you may not have a loan on your existing rent roll. And I think most importantly, for me, and especially what I went through and some of the things I'm seeing my clients go through, is having a transition strategy. Okay, so what I mean by that is, having a plan for start to finish. Okay, when you exchange, when do you speak to your team? How do you transition your rent roll, to the new business, to the new owners, client management, because you want everything to be a real success for both sides. And, having that transition strategy and plan laid out ahead, getting a good framework will really help your retention period.
And I think, guys, too, from our experience in our own businesses, but more so recently in REGROWTH, someone's got to lead that project too. So if you've got someone internally, and guys, it cannot be a property manager that is managing properties.
Yeah.
They don't have capacity and scope. So it's either got to be yourself, someone in ops, someone that's a bit experienced in this space. So whether you utilise a third-party supplier like us or somebody else, the buck's got to stop with someone driving the project. So have we done this list of things why not has it been done by this time? Because you work all of your life to build this wonderful asset. And for many of us in real estate, this is our super fund. You know, you retire, you need to protect that asset up front. And I think something you said that was really interesting, Sue, around your team. Guys, this is not the time. I know we've all got great relationships with local solicitors. This is not the time to use the person down the road that's always helped you with conveyancing in your business. This is the time to get someone that's experienced in this space and understands the importance of specific instructions around terms and definitions in a contract that relate exactly to a real estate rent roll sale. Now, Sue, we often get asked whether or not share sale or asset sale. For those that may not know what we're talking about, could you give a little bit of context to that or explain what you're seeing out there and in fact what the difference is?
Yeah, sure. That's really an important question. And it's a question that you need to go through, have a chat with your accountant and solicitors as well to get some guidance on it. But essentially, if you're looking at a share sale, you are selling the shares in your PTY Ltd company, and it looks at, you need to look at your structure as well. So it's not as, sometimes it's not a straightforward answer. You've got liabilities, you've got structures in place. I know, for example, I had a trust structure, which is quite common out there. So there's lots of different variables. And the other, obviously, being an asset sale, is where you're selling just the managements. And this is where you're going to have to re-sign each agency agreement, management agency agreement for your managements. So that's probably the key difference. I guess if you're selling your shares in the company that holds the managements and the agreements, you're not, as a seller, you're not re-signing every single agency agreement, which is, great from a seller's perspective and also a buyer's perspective. There's, lots of pros and cons on both sides. The other way, obviously, it's re-signing every agreement.
I think, guys, this is the sort of thing that you need to think about. So, ideally getting in REGROWTH or someone similar to do a health check on your business. So often you don't know what's under the hood, or you're believing reports that are being presented to you. And then, we come in and do the health check, and then people find out that there's, routines are outstanding, or there's not as many properties as you thought because they haven't been archived. Sorry about the noise in the background, garbage truck arriving. So just find out and make sure you know the risks and fix them so you can have a really smooth transition. Sue, how long are you seeing, so let's just say someone is prepared to sell, because I think this is something that sometimes we're a little bit delusional about as an industry. My rent roll is ready to sell. I've fixed things. I've got it in the best state that I can to put forward. How long does it usually take, and what are the settlement periods and the retention periods you're seeing out there at the moment?
Yeah, sure. Look, great question. From start to finish, I think we underestimate the process that this actually takes to get it right, because you've got lots of different elements to it to make it all happen. So I guess from the beginning, when you look at, once you've got an agreement, you've got a buyer in mind, that process alone, finding the right buyer for you, can take time in that respect. But once you've got somebody there, we look at the term sheets, we talk about the essential terms of the contract that you've agreed with. And again, there's quite a lot in that alone. And then once you've got a solicitor in mind, drafting the contract from agreement to signing the contract, that could take 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks sometimes, it really does depend on how many changes there are, and these things take a bit of time, and it depends if you've done your prep work as well, right? If you haven't done your prep work and people are waiting for information from you, this is where it's going to slow down the process as well.
And I think, guys, having, the longer it takes, everyone loves this in real estate. So we want to minimise that risk. So making sure any stakeholder involved are signing an NDA and they're acutely aware of the ramifications of breaching that. The second thing is to make sure that you've got a central drive where you're storing everything as well. So we're not just talking here about getting the rent rolls ready for sale. Often when people sell their rent roll, they're selling their business. So where's the contracts for the subscriptions? Where's the contracts for the photocopier? What do your leave balances look like? How's that going to be dealt with in a sale? Who'll stay? Who will go? Who do you need to incentivize to stay? That could be a flight risk of churn. At REGROWTH, guys, we've got a 2-page sheet of recommendations or things to consider when you are selling. If you'd like that, then please reach out to the team or Sue or myself to get that. Probably just two more things I'd like to ask you, Sue, about selling before we then go into our other series around buying and project management. Is where do you see things go wrong at the beginning that aren't properly defined when selling, that becomes a problem that we'll talk about a little bit more in project management during the retention?
Yeah, sure. Look, this is where preparation and prep work is really going to help you a lot. Okay, so getting things defined in the contract so the calculation on what you're selling. Okay, so what I mean by that is your rent roll, there's a multiplier, there's a formula in place, making sure that that's really clear. There's lots of other terms surrounding that. How can we maximize when you're selling? Look at maximize the opportunity for your asset that you've grown for so many years.
So on that, Sue, something that you and I've seen recently, which we were really surprised about, is people working really hard on their lease and renewal fees leading into a sale event. What have you seen around that?
So with lease and renewal fees, so things like, like, are you going to be doing rent increases? Are you going to renew your leases? Because, built into the system, you've got your schedule of fees, right? How is that going to be calculated on? Is it calculated on exchange? Is it calculated on settlement? Is it calculated at the end of retention, right? So, this comes down to, again, the conditions that are in the contract. How is it defined? Just to make it really clear so that you know what you're getting paid on.
Yeah, so look, is it going to be a surprise at settlement to find out that you've got X amount of properties that are rested or being renovated? Are there management fee increases? Are there rental increase? Like, don't let anything be a surprise. So it's really important that you have these things defined at the beginning if you're selling, because it affects payday and how you get paid.
Exactly. And like vacant properties as well, all those things we need to look at and cover. Yeah.
Guys, we're going to go into more detail in our project management side of things and our next series around buying. Sue and I absolutely love this space. Ali in our team is probably the specialist with doing health checks, but we will all do it for you. If nothing else, guys, even if you're not selling for 5, 10 or 15 years, again, whether it's us or somebody else, get someone in minimum every 2 years to do a health check on your rent roll as if you were selling it tomorrow. Don't wait until you're fatigued and you're tired and you want to get out. It's too late. Write your own press release up front today and give yourself the best chance to maximize your sales price and minimize time on market when you do sell. So thanks so much for your time. We'll see you with our next series.
Thanks, Kylie.